Before we get into the main video today, Wednesday 24th of November 2021, Naughton & Wilson's Black Friday sale starts for a limited time only. The code NW20 gets you 20% off any purchase. Follow the link in the description. Don't miss out. We don't do many discounts. How I'd introduce Sebastian Jara from the Perfume Guy channel if he appeared on one of my live streams.
This week, we have a man who's described as one of the baddest men in the country, a hitman with his own firm.
Robes08 talking about the golden age of YouTube perfume reviews.
What you've got to look at is people that are glorifying it weren't even born when we were doing it.
Gent Sense when someone accused him of being a shill.
I didn't like that because I stuck a gun in his mouth and educated him, but I wasn't one of them.
Me after telling Fragmental I'd unsubscribed from his channel.
And I liked doing it.
Me after attending the UK Fragrance Reviewers annual social night.
Everyone was a thief or they had a fiddle going.
And this is Red Adolescence describing what he did before he was on YouTube.
We used to go and collect newspapers on a trolley, an old pull cart trolley, and we sent them to a fish and chip shop, and that's where the guy didn't pay us. And I picked up a dead cat from the building site. I meant to throw it at him, and it hit the counter and went into his fryer. And he freaked out, had to close his shop down.
Hi guys, today we're going to have a look at a great affordable gem fragrance you can still buy today, still made today, going way back to 1978, and it's of course associated with the character Scarface in the famous film from the 1980s, played by Al Pacino, and an amazing, lovely fragrance, very potent, very masculine, an old school vibe, and let's find out a little bit more about it now and the film with which it is associated. So Scarface was released in 1983, directed by Brian De Palma and written by Oliver Stone. It was actually a remake of the 1932 film of the same name. In that film, the leading protagonist was an Italian gangster, but of course, in our version that we're talking about here, the lead man is Al Pacino playing Tony Montana, a penniless Cuban refugee who arrives in 1980s Miami and becomes a very powerful and quite nasty drug lord. So Pacino was apparently inspired by the 1932 film to want to make his own version of it, and that he did with great success, now regarded as a real 80s classic with a great soundtrack, music, quite a bit of music I think from Blondie in the film, some absolutely iconic moments. There's a hideously frightening shower scene with a chainsaw involved, lots of blood gets shed, lots of cocaine gets snorted, and Pacino wore our cologne of this video, Lagerfeld Cologne, now known as Lagerfeld Classic. Apparently, he doused himself in it every day in order to help him with this method acting. Method acting, of course, where you really immerse yourself in the character, and even when you've stopped filming, you stay in character, apparently. Now, did he actually do that? Is that literally what happens with these guys? I don't know. Did he genuinely wear this cologne all the time? We don't know, but we do know that it appears in the film. More on that a little bit later. So, the film is absolutely brilliant stuff. He's a multifaceted character. He does show some light-hearted, funny, almost likeable moments earlier on in the film when he's trying to woo Michelle Pfeiffer. He's kind of joking around with her, puts her hat on and stuff like this. But by the end of the film, he's degenerated into pretty much a narcissistic megalomaniac and a bit of an arsehole. And, well, I don't want to spoil it, but he meets a sticky end, as you probably guessed. Dressing in a fantastic kind of 80s or early 80s, late 70s fashion with the big collared shirts and the Hawaiian shirts. Reminds me a bit of our own Miami Cuddles, the Fragcom guy. I guess he's maybe more of a Joe Pesci character, but I sometimes think maybe we should remake the film with Miami Cuddles playing the lead role. What do you think, guys? Anyhow, I really enjoy watching this one. I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times. It's one of those ones as a kid. Maybe I think I discovered it probably some point in the 90s, in my teens. There's loads of lines that you and your friends will repeat and, say hello to my little friend, all these kind of famous lines from the films that young people latch onto, and much loved for very good reasons. A classic gangster movie, one of the greats of all time. And now let's move on to the cologne with which the film is associated, at least for us geeks in the Fragcom. So Lagerfeld Classic is how it is now known. It was actually originally released under the name Lagerfeld Cologne in 1978. I don't actually know when the name changed. I think it has been in production the whole time. So the scent is described as a spicy oriental fragrance on Parfumo.net, but let's see what Fragrantica says, because they are a little bit more politically correct, so they probably won't call it, I'm guessing, an oriental. That term now a little bit passé, according to the people who make the rules for us all, it seems. So they call it an amber woody fragrance. It was launched in 1978. The nose behind the fragrance, Ron Winograd. And here's your note listing. You've got top notes of aldehydes, tarragon, clary sage, bergamot, lemon, and green notes. Middle notes are tobacco, sandalwood, orris root, patchouli, rose, cedar, and jasmine. Base notes, amber, vanilla, musk, tonka bean, and oak moss. We see the top of the bottle briefly in the film in a scene where Al Pacino is in a bath or jacuzzi. You can also see a bottle of Paco Rabanne Calandra or Eau de Calandra, which presumably is Michelle Pfeiffer's, or I think she's called Elvira. I think it's her scent in the film on the side there next to it. So that's all we see of the fragrance in the film. It really is a very appropriate one for the character himself, I think, but more on how it smells in a moment. If you're looking to pick up a bottle, I looked online in the UK here and I found a bottle for sale on Amazon.co.uk, not sponsored, for the strange price of £16.53 and free one-day delivery if you've got Amazon Prime. So that's a 100ml bottle. Absolutely amazing, affordable price. Let's find out a little bit more about how the thing actually smells, and is it a kind of appropriate fragrance for Scarface. Don't forget, guys, if you do enjoy my videos and the fact that I am a little bit different to other YouTubers, please subscribe to the channel, then you won't miss other stuff, what I do, and it does help me actually, so I'm told. Okay, so Lagerfeld Classic, a beautiful, beautiful fragrance, formerly known as Lagerfeld Cologne. I've got a little bit on a tester strip here, just to describe it. Perfect fragrance for the colder weather and when you want to feel badass like Scarface. I think it very much has the Scarface type of vibe. There's an opening booziness about this one, kind of Cointreau or maybe cognac or boozy orange or something like that. Definitely going on in there, in keeping with the colour of the juice. In the base, lots of patchouli and a little bit of sandalwood, vanilla and an amberiness, and there's this kind of powdery feel to this one, giving it a slight barbershop feel, but it's not like a Fougere fragrance or something like that. It's got that 70s vibe about it, very, very much. A little bit sort of similarity in the feel, the aura, to things like Givenchy Gentleman from 1974 and in the heavy patchouli note, but a very different smell overall. Very, very masculine, I think. There's this tobacco accord in there as well. So, you know, tobacco, booziness, almost a leathery feel, although leather's not in there, but there's maybe an animalic thing with some of the floral notes, can be a bit animalic and funky and raunchy. I've got an old vintage bottle too. I got to say the old Lagerfeld Cologne just a little bit smoother and richer and warmer, but maybe some of the edges are blunted too. It's a very old bottle, so I think you're fine with the modern formula. Most people on Fragrantica also agreeing that the modern formula is still very good. So for someone who wants to be macho, who wants to be in that badass, you know, your face buried in a mound of cane kind of mood, I think this is just a superb fragrance for that kind of vibe. Chris from Scentland has done 1 or 2 videos where he mentions this and he loves it. Thank you so much to him for drawing the channel, by the way, Scentland, the land of scent. Chris drew my attention to this years ago. I've just got a 30ml bottle here, but as I say, a 100ml bottle, ridiculously cheap now. As I have such a big collection, 30ml does me fine. Nice projection, nice performance, not outrageous in either, but good, but slightly above average for me in the performance on this one. Does it smell dated? Yes. Probably a little bit. Is it going to get compliments from young people today, or even, you know, people of my age that live in the 21st century may not appreciate this kind of thing if they're used to smelling Bleu de Chanel or Dior Sauvage. So it's for us a perfume aficionados, or us who just don't need external validation and love old school type of smells, but something different to my normal Fougeres or barbershops. Definitely not one of my favourite citrus aromatic styles. This is amber oriental is a good way to describe it. So you've got tobacco, powderiness, a bit of booziness, a definite badass feel, but a sort of well-dressed badass. So it's not so much Al Pacino in his Hawaiian shirt, but the bits where he's dressed up fancy in his bow tie, that kind of vibe for me, I think. Lovely, lovely fragrance, perfect for that Scarface vibe. If you want to get into that kind of zone, if you want to channel a bit of Al Pacino, Lagerfeld classic. Great cheapie if you're looking for a nice blind buy. Other Lagerfeld fragrances, I'm not that familiar with, I'm afraid. I know Photo is highly rated from 1990, but now discontinued, hard to find. The modern ones get some good talk, I've sniffed a few, but to me this is the standout release, and of course it was the first masculine fragrance from Lagerfeld. Sadly, the man himself, Karl Lagerfeld, passed away I think in 2019. He started off at Chanel, great historic designer from Germany. Of course, originally it's a German house. We don't have so many German fragrance or fashion houses, I think it's fair to say. And, you know, he was perhaps the biggest and the best of them. You know, he'll be sadly missed, but this cologne is a fitting testament, something he's left us. He lives on not only through his great designs in the field of clothing and attire and whatever else he designed, I don't know, but in this super fragrance. Well done to the House of Lagerfeld for keeping this one going. I hope it's still around for many years to come, guys. Check it out. Let me know in the comments if you like this one as much as I do. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. And sometimes life may stink, but we can always smell good. Don't forget, people, I have a code for you. Mr. 15 gets you 15% off at myfragrancesamples.com. They ship in the USA, Canada and Puerto Rico. Great guy there, Mark, and it's my recommended place to buy fragrance samples in North America. Where do I go for those samples if I'm in North America? myfragrancesamples.com, myfragrancesamples.com, myfragrancesamples.com. If you'd like to see an extra video from me every week, sign up to my Patreon group. It's only $2 a month. There's a link in the description, and we have loads of interesting stuff going on there. I do a lot of fragrance stuff, of course, but I also talk about some other things to do with my life. It's really fun, and I hope to see you in there. As I say, you can follow the link in the description, or just go to Patreon and type in Mr. Smelly 1977.